Hey, welcome to the Closing Time Podcast. My name is David Mansour, and I'm a mortgage loan officer here in Peachtree City, Georgia. And the goal of my podcast is simply to give you some insight and maybe look behind the curtains in the lives of some of the people that you do business with and see who they are outside of their careers. I hope you enjoy. All right, hey, welcome everybody. We're here with Eric Roberts, Mr. Chef, owner of Hog Pit Barbecue and MS Pizza in Fayetteville. So if you are at Lion Creek Brewery in Fayetteville, playing with your kids, of course, or going to Southside Church, then grab pizza or barbecue. Welcome.
Absolutely. Thank you.
I'm so glad you're here.
I'm glad you had me.
So we're going to talk about restaurants first, but this is kind of a follow-up on the two podcasts I've done, just kind of talking about. Eric is part of my men's group. That's where I met him. And just trying to talk out loud about prayer and God and the path and the journey. And this guy knows the Bible. I'm not going to speak for how perfect he is and sin-free he is.
Definitely not.
But he is definitely knowledgeable. So this is going to be awesome. All right, first question. What was food like growing up for you?
Food growing up for me was my grandmother, actually. My mom's mom, she was a Southern woman to the bones. And she kept a quarter-acre garden with my grandfather in their backyard. They had probably had every vegetable you could name. They had fruit trees, blueberry bushes,
rutabaga
stuff. Oh, yeah.
Did they have rutabaga?
They had rutabaga. They had okra. They had corn. They had pole beans. They had snap
We know
beans.
They had okra. It can't be on the south
man.
by that.
My grandfather even grew like watermelons, and I remember the summers where he had the old concrete picnic tables out back, right? And he would put the watermelon there and have those iodized salt shaker, right? And cut it open and you just, eat that on a hot summer day.
Have you put mustard on watermelon yet?
I have not. Have you?
Yes, I did, because I guess it was a TikTok trend or something. And we tried it, and it's not horrible. It just tastes like mustard on watermelon. So it's not, I don't know why people were doing it. But it wasn't like gross. It just,
Interesting.
Yeah, it was weird. It was weird, so.
Yeah, that was our childhood. That was, kind of the Southern influence, I guess, in my life. And then my mom was a working mom, so she worked a 8 to 5 job, and then she'd come home, kind of cook dinner, and we'd have dinner typically right around the family table.
Was that every night or Sunday?
It was typically every night, and then on Sundays, a lot of times on the weekend, we'd actually go to my grandmother's house, and she would have a big to-do kind of meal, right? Fried catfish or fried chicken. I mean, I remember fried squash, like all kind of stuff, butter beans. That's how I grew up. My dad's mom, she was from California. She didn't do a whole lot of cooking, actually. It was completely opposite.
Well, California, they just eat sushi. They don't really.
They're different. They're a different breed.
They're weird people out there.
Are.
I don't know. It's a different country. So I'd be interested to see. So for us, dinner was always around the couch, watching Dallas or watching the Dukes of Hazzard. It was always TV. So we didn't do a whole. I kind of remember a dinner table, but most of our meals were right on the couch. So I don't know if that's better. This spider keeps dropping in on us. So I'm sure they can't see that in the video, but he just drops and pulls back up and drops again. So it's freaking me out. So do you think, I wrote this question down, and you can answer it any way you want, but do you think you fell in love with food, or did you fall in love with cooking? Like what created this journey for you?
Let's see. It's a combination of things, I think. I think food growing up was very nostalgic, right? I remember the old school kind of diners that my grandfather would take us to, right? Or my grandmother would take us to. Very similar like the Colonnade, right? In Atlanta, right?
Yeah.
Old school kind of diners, right? I remember those things. Even like a little dive burger place. I remember going there with my parents. That was something I think, I fell in love with kind of food then. When I was, 15, I actually worked in my first restaurant, bussing tables, right?
Okay.
And I think that's really kind of what instilled, I think, the restaurant vibe or restaurant life into me, really. Because bussing tables, I made $50 cash every night, right?
Wow.
And then you'd sit around at the end of the night.
Back in the 40s, that's good money.
Right.
I think you're younger than me, actually.
I am. But it was, you'd sit around afterwards, whatever, and the waitresses would count all their tips, right? And divvy out, they even tip the bus boys or whatever.
Really?
So I mean, I would walk out with, anywhere from $80 to $100, right? And
That's
then,
good money.
yeah, we'd all have dinner. I mean, it was a very family-oriented restaurant, so it was very family-friendly. And
Was that around here in Atlanta?
No, it was actually in Rome, Georgia. So I grew up just outside of Rome, and that was my first restaurant job. Yeah.
Wow.
Inside downtown.
So what is your favorite dish to eat?
Yeah,
And do you cook it? Do you make it? Like your favorite thing to eat? Would you be like, no, honey, I want you to make it, or is it at a restaurant, or you're making it and this is my favorite thing to eat?
I always get asked what my favorite thing is. I don't know. I have a favorite because I love food in general.
Yeah.
It's got to be good. If it's not good, I don't like it.
Yeah.
But I do like simple stuff. I mean, burgers are just classic, right?
That McDonald's. Have you seen that commercial? Have you seen that? The CEO
with the
thing.
big bite and the little bite, right?
The CEO thing. That is kind of funny. It does look awkward, but
yeah, I mean, guy. And I think it's funny because, when I grew up with McDonald's, it was much different than what it is today.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, all the foods have changed over the past 20, 30 years. It's pretty crazy. But I think what I fell in love with early on, food wise, was simple food. Just simple.
What is simple?
My mom make a meatloaf, right? Or we'd have fried chicken, spaghetti, right? Just simple spaghetti, right? That's what I grew up with.
Spaghetti is probably my favorite.
Yeah.
I make it the best because it is easy.
Yeah. I mean, that was it. That's, I think even for breakfast, it was Eggo waffles with Jiffy peanut butter on it. Yeah.
Wow.
Simple food.
Waffles with peanut butter. Yeah. I don't eat that. I think my kids did when they were little. Yeah. I think that was a mom thing. It's not bad. It's not bad. But they like Eggos. Oddly, I think Max will eat. He didn't even put syrup on his Eggos or anything. Now pancakes he covers some with syrup. But waffles, he just eats them plain. I'm like, that's a healthy meal. So then you became a chef downtown. You were a big fine dining chef. How did that transition to Pizza Life and barbecue? Like, what's the big difference there? Like,
I think when I came to...
And not your journey. We'll get into your journey. But what's the difference in being that, I would assume, high pressure service in Atlanta, just because I watched the TV show. I keep calling it Chef. What's it called?
Yeah. Are you talking about...
No, I've mentioned this before.
Like Hell's Kitchen or something?
No, it's where the guys like, yes, chef, and the brother... I couldn't think of it last time we talked. It took me forever. It's on Apple.
Well, I think the biggest difference is the family environment that it creates. Right? I mean, barbecue is very family-oriented. Pizza even, right? I mean, a large pizza could feed a family of 4, right? Fine dining is very specific. It's a much different environment that it produces.
So the barbecue is the more family.
Yeah, and I think that's kind of how I grew up, right? It's kind of my roots, right?
It's like my mama never took me to no fine dining.
Right.
Mama don't feed us no steak. We had pork chops and mashed taters.
It's not a bad thing I had to say. It's all right. Good. Yeah. I think I grew up watching great chefs of America, great chefs of the world. It used to come on, I think it was History Channel or PBS, one or the other. But I'd get up after school and I'd watch it, and it would just be some guy working with his hands. It would show you the food. It wouldn't really show you the chef, but there would be a narrator just describing what was going on, right? And it would just be, really eccentric kind of dishes from all over. And I think that really inspired me to then get into the restaurant, high-end side of the restaurant industry. But it's a big difference, night and day. I mean, you're talking... You can definitely see like the differences of the dining style, the etiquette, all those kind of things versus family-friendly barbecue. You're getting your hands dirty.
Right. Yeah.
It's a lot different.
Yeah. So what makes somebody a great chef? Like if somebody really loves cooking and they're like, I always wonder, you see the cooking shows and is it your palate? Is it your creativity? Is it your attention to detail? Like what differentiates? Who is the person that wins that? Is there any sort of pattern, or is it just like the best baseball player just is hardworking and they're just a natural? Like it is what it is.
I think there's the combination of things that you could put into that, right?
Yeah.
I think it's got to be someone that's well-rounded in all those areas you just listed and some more. But I think it's really someone who's dedicated to do it, right? Because the restaurant life is not easy, even hotel life, right? Or resort, right? And wherever you're being a chef at, it's not an easy career path.
Yeah.
hospitality in general, right? To be hospitable. You are
not an easy
serving
career
people.
path, or just not an easy career?
It's both.
Both. Yeah.
There's ups and downs. There's struggles with it.
Well, and clearly you don't have to be fat. I always thought if the chef wasn't fat, then I'm not eating there. And you're all skinny
I
owning
was
two
at one
restaurants.
time. I was at one
Were
time.
ya?
So yeah, I've lost about 40, 50 pounds.
Wow.
Yeah.
I worked at a Provino's with Mr.
that's
Len Westmoreland.
Yeah.
People might know him. He owned, what word did I say? I said Provino's.
Yeah.
That's Italian restaurant. Primo's. He owned a Primo's restaurant in Peachtree City.
Okay.
I think it was in Peachtree City. I don't remember. But we worked in there, and after 2 months, I couldn't eat pizza anymore. It took a while. Just the smell, the everything. I was like, I got to go. I can't work here. So you can't eat barbecue anymore?
I do. I can. I don't need it as often as I used to. That's for sure.
I bet. All right. Okay, so then the pizza restaurant, they're right next door to each other, is MS, which stands for Mustard Seed.
Correct.
Look at this transition, everybody. Look at me. Transitions. It's because I have it written down. 2020, you decided to leave corporate cooking, whatever, what would you call it? Corporate culinary, and open your own shop and come down here. Was it before COVID? Like right before? It was
right in COVID, because I saw a lot of the atrocities, right? The restaurant life is already difficult because it is lower paying wages, it is a lot of work, long hours, and it's not the typical 9 to 5,
right.
So you're working late nights. And so family life is difficult. But during COVID, we laid off, I worked for Fifth Group Restaurants at the time. We probably laid off 500 plus people. And it was very difficult to see because they were already living paycheck to paycheck, a lot of them, right? And, it was heartbreaking, really, right? And we slowly opened those restaurants back up one at a time, pretty much over the past, over a year's time period, I guess. And we did not bring back the entire staff. Only, I would say, a quarter to a third of them came back initially. And as we continued to then get busier and busier, we brought more and more back. But during that time period, I made it my decision where I was like, well, I got to do something more sustainable, right? Something I could get through. I lived through the whole
opening
business
kind
of recession, right?
Is sustainable?
Well, I mean, it is if it's the right model, right? It's got to be. I think the rent where I was in Midtown was $19,000 a month in rent for the restaurant, and that's not sustainable.
No.
So
not when everybody's staying home.
No, correct. So that was very difficult. We closed several restaurants, and they're actually still closed today. I think they actually closed the restaurant that I ran for them 2 years ago. Yeah, so it made it through COVID, had reopened, but then business never really fully came back, and they closed it. So, this is after I left. So,
So was this I think it's set up poorly, the question, because it's hard to answer otherwise. But do you feel like you were there and God called you to do this? Which I don't know why God would do that, or it was something you wanted to do, and obviously you prayed about it. Knowing you, I'm sure you prayed about it. So was it something I wasn't intending on doing?
I think I daydreamed for many years, even when I first got in the industry, about owning my own restaurant, right? It was a daydream, right? And then over the years, as I grew up the chain of command, right, and had different leadership positions, it became clearer as to what I wanted to do. In 2018, before COVID, I went through a tough time with my wife and I lost my job at the time. And it was a very humbling moment for both of us because she was a stay-at-home mom, so we didn't have any income, right, for 3 months, give or take. And, we did a lot of praying. And I was like, at that point in time, then the company that I had been let go from, there was not a most very positive company. And as a matter of fact, for one of your questions you had sent me later on, the owners were Muslim.
Oh.
And it was a big difference from their beliefs to my beliefs, right? And the way they treated people were different.
And you had to work on Christmas.
All right. It was a lot different. And so it was tough to do that. And then it was probably the best thing that happened to me to get let go because it was very humbling during that time period. My wife and I both, we had our own walks with Jesus, and she, afterwards was like, man, he got us through that. He can get us through anything. Right. And I believe the same thing. And we had attended Perimeter Church many years prior to us even getting married, and it's up in Gwinnett. And one of the prayers that the pastor had said that we had prayed, right, was, God, let us do something so great that's doomed to failure, lest you're in it. And over the years, I had prayed that over the years. And then during that time period, when my wife and I, in 2018, when I was out of work, I was like, I want to open my own restaurant. And I started praying then. And as, things progressed, 2020 happened, right? COVID shut everything down. It was a very difficult time. Housing exploded at the same time because of all the migration from people. And we were able to sell our home. God provided us with the finances to do what we wanted to do. We made a big leap of faith and moved down to Newnan from Decatur. And it took me to the bus barn.
Awesome. Well, if anybody out there is, giggling, if you're a non-believer or whatever, about why I would say God called you to do this, is because the reason I said that is because I see the way you treat your employees, and I see the way you minister them in a way, and to me that is a calling. So whether it was, ordained by God because you wanted to do it afterwards or whatever, I feel like you're fulfilling some sort of, I don't even know, I'm terrible at words. This is probably the worst job for me to be a podcaster when I'm not good at vocabulary.
So I think he calls us all to serve him and do his work.
Yeah.
Right. And I am doing his work, as you said, ministering to them. I think that I did not get to where I am now in my walk without struggles, right? And I went through a lot of those. I mean, restaurants is one of the most heavily drug and alcohol abused industries there is, right? So I've struggled with that over the years. And as I came through all of that, it was very humbling. And I also saw a lot of that in a lot of other people in the industry that I worked with. And over the years, it became more clear what I was doing and the path I was on. And as I was going down the path, it just became clearer. And it's very humbling as well, going through the struggles we have, opening our own business, right? Yeah. Running our own business and seeing the people. It was heartbreaking. And so I learned very on, I can't save anybody, but I can, plant the seed and I can water the seed. And that was also very difficult to learn that as well. I tried to save people and I could not.
Well, I think somebody the other night brought up is like, I might have planted that seed, but then you're going to water it, and then they're going to go over there, and if you're watering it, and then you're watering it, and that if all of us are slowly, none of us have to be responsible for one person's coming to faith or whatever that is. And again, you can relate this to anything in life. Positivity, just being good to people. If we could all just be one more step of niceness or not a non-judgmental or whatever, then I believe we can all flourish. So
absolutely,
it's awesome. So you are the person that we go to in our Bible studies or our men's group when we talk. Anytime there's a question about something that happened, a scripture or blah or this or an interpretation, and you seem to know the verse and the name and the different interpretations and where it came from and what it means. And the one question I asked Russell and Brett was, how much time, as far as Bible verses, how much time do you spend reading the Bible? How much time do you, or has been spent studying the Bible? So reading, studying, or for me, where I'm just now even reading the Bible for the first time, I got all my scriptures just from church and from T-shirts and stuff like that. So which one of those three, where are you with just reading it? I study it. I get my stuff from T-shirts.
Yes, I know. For a long time, I was not in the Bible, right? I was very similar to you. Get them at church. Never really dove into it. Read the Bible for the first time, I think 2 years ago, front to back.
Really? It's been 2 years, and you are you just really smart? Do you have
No, I think that God gives us. He actually does gift us with gifts, right?
Yeah.
And my gift has been leadership and teaching. And I think that, leadership, I can go in and command a room easily. And the teaching aspect, it's really been something that's evolved over the years with, teaching people how to cook hands-on, and then to helping them learn life as well and walk through life with them. And so kind of goes hand in hand. And then,
well, I mean, you didn't even mention your ability to remember where in the Bible these things are and the historical references and
it's funny.
all of those things.
It's funny because I actually can remember recipes I did years ago.
Really?
Verbatim. You know, how much salt goes into it and everything. You know, so I think it's the way that my brain has been designed by him. And I think it's remarkable that he gives us all the different gifts that he's given us and how he utilizes them and puts us in the places where we need to be to use them.
Yeah. But your knowledge of the Bible, to go back to the question, is you're actually to the, I did interrupt you. I was like, how did we get off track? You read the Bible a year ago or 2 years ago, front to back. Now you actually spend time almost daily reading and studying, if you will, in a way.
Yeah, so I go and do deep dive kind of study on each book and do more of an inductive studies. So I go through things that stand out to me, right? Because the Bible, there's a lot of different patterns in the Bible that, you know, that God uses to kind of talk to us and also make things stand out to us. And I think that my brain picks up on those really well. And so whenever I do inductive study on the different books, whatever, I actually enjoy just reading some of the books. You know, I've read through Ezekiel recently and the book of Daniel recently that I just find them fascinating, you know.
What's the best book in the Bible that people might not think of? Most entertaining, most like a movie. Well, the whole David story that we started on.
Yeah, that's good.
That was pretty entertaining. That's he's running around, hiding in caves and kissing people's girlfriends.
Yeah.
And
I mean,
I think
the story of the different ones are really cool. I'll tell you, the book of Esther is good because have you ever seen the movie 300?
Yes.
Right? That's the time period. And Xerxes, the emperor in that movie, is actually in the book of Esther. He is the emperor of the empire at the time.
Wow.
Yeah.
Did not know that.
Yeah, I thought it was very, very, very interesting. And in the book of Esther, it doesn't really mention God a lot whatsoever. You can just see him doing the work that he's doing in and throughout that book.
So
it's very interesting to see.
I like asking ignorant questions for other people, not that I really... Is the book of the Bible, when we talk about the book, is it named after who wrote it or about who it's talking about? Or is it both or what?
I think it's a combination. Okay. I mean, I think
so did Esther write that book or?
I think that there's a lot of books in the Bible that it'll mention how scribes are following people around, right? And those are the people that follow, you know, Esther was a queen at the time in that empire. And so I'm sure she had scribes that followed her around and wrote her story down. Right.
Okay.
And documented those things historically. That's same thing for kings, right? And the story of David you just mentioned, right? There's a lot of people that were there that walked with them, right? And that wrote these things down as they were happening. And I mean, it's very well documented.
Are they like chiseling it on stone? Like that's how heavy are those things?
That was
like, you got to carry these tablets around?
No, I think they had like papyrus paper and things like that, you know.
Papyrus, okay. Yeah. So you could eat it if you didn't. Like,
sure.
Hide that scroll. Okay. All right. So Esther, I'm going to read that after I read Revelation. So we talked about Revelation, and we're not going to go too deep into that because it evidently is pretty deep. But
eating a scroll. It's in the book of Revelation.
Is that in Revelation?
Yeah, it is in the book of Revelations.
It's in there?
Yes.
Oh, Lord. So Jesus is coming. Because I just said.
He's soon enough.
He is. Okay, so let's talk about prayer. Because we talked about that in last. One thing I mentioned, you asked me how the last couple podcasts have gone where we've talked about this. And I felt like I didn't. Again, on the second one, I still bounced around too much.
Yeah.
Still way on the surface. And I don't know if we can go too deep, but just getting another perspective on prayer. How often do you pray? Let's just start with that question. And then we'll go into what does it look like after that?
Every day. Definitely daily. Sometimes 1 to 2 times a day.
Okay. It's always right when I wake up? Is it I'll get up and have coffee and sit on the back porch? Is it when I drive to work? Is it just is when it is? And it's just
usually when I'm driving to work or driving from work.
Okay.
That's usually what it is. Because that's my alone time.
Okay.
You know, it's very peaceful. It's much different than what I used to drive in the city, right? Or you're getting angry at traffic. So it's a lot more peaceful from my house to Fayetteville. It's about a 20, 25 minute drive.
Right.
So it's very nice.
Okay.
Yeah.
So a couple times a day. So let's talk more about how you pray. Yeah, I think we've gotten more into maybe our men's group about, we all believe we have free will. God's given us free will. It's the whole, it's predetermined. Everything God already knows our steps before. So then why ask him? And then we talked about why he should. But what should a prayer look like? I mean, they're all going to be different, obviously, in a time of need or whatever.
Sure.
But should we ask for stuff? Should we put it out there? Because I heard somebody say once that you're dang right you should ask for stuff.
Yeah.
You should ask for a new car if you want a new car. That is not selfish. That's putting it out there. That's telling God I want a new car. And then maybe God's going to talk back and go, hey, maybe you don't need that new car. Maybe you need to catch up your electric bill.
Yeah.
So I love that thought of just, because I do believe in positive energy and speaking things in existence and those type of things. So anyway, you go. What does it look like?
If you find this video, please subscribe.
I think, honestly, the way that Jesus told us to model it, right, and the way that he modeled prayer and he taught the disciples the prayer that everybody kind of says, right, out of the Bible, that prayer, if you really look at it and you think about it, right, he references us as little children a lot throughout the Bible, right? And if you think about that prayer and then you think about us as kids, right, when you were a child, we idolized our parents a lot of times, right? Your dad, right? You're like, you love him, right? You thought that he was the greatest in the world, right? And I think that it's very similar to how Jesus has modeled our prayer for us, for our Heavenly Father, I mean, it just starts off with, kind of, recognizing his greatness and his glory, right? To then, asking him to make his will be done here on earth, right? And we always felt safe with our parents, our father being in control, right, of things, right? Your parents to be your safety net, right?
Ain't none of us went, Dad, can I have this new skateboard? I mean, whatever you say is okay. Whatever your will is okay. So it's a little different.
No, I think it's a matter of, recognizing that they were in control, right? But you didn't stop you from asking for something.
Right.
Right. Yeah. And you asked for all kind of stuff, right? Yeah. Whether it be the candy on in the grocery store or a skateboard, right? Or whatever it might be, or for him to take you fishing, right?
Yeah.
Or to pay for your college.
Yeah.
Or to help you get that new car.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, we ask for a lot of things, and then there's things that we never asked for that they took care of. Our health insurance, right?
Yeah.
Car insurance for some, So I think that is a good kind of visualization of it, right? And then obviously we ask for forgiveness of things, right? How many times you go to your parents and ask for them to, forgiveness, right? As they ground you for whatever you did, right? I think it's modeled in that same way to make it more approachable for people, right? And to really, visually kind of describe to us what that relationship should also look like.
Yeah.
I think that's really something that people kind of miss. People just look for the structure and they don't really understand it because they don't really understand that relationship piece.
Yeah.
And we you and I both with the studies that we're doing, in the groups that we're in, it's becoming even more clear to us, right? So, I mean, it does, I think, take time for people to really recognize that.
Yeah.
And I mean, we do pray in times of need, and when we're down on our luck, and you might not have prayed for 5 years, and then all of a sudden you're on a life or death kind of situation. You're talking to God, right?
Yeah.
I think that is always there for us, and God uses different moments in our life to bring us back to Him, at least to make us aware of Him. To give us that free will chance to conversate with Him or not.
Yeah. Well, I used an example with Brett, and he liked it, that seemed to hit was, as a father, your son wants the newest PlayStation. They want it. He's been talking about his friends have it, but you want him to come ask you for it. You want him to come and go, hey, Dad, I know you got me that basketball goal. I really appreciate it. I love it. But can I get that PlayStation?
Yeah.
So, and I thought that was I don't know, that came to mind is when they were explaining to me why they prayed and how they prayed.
Yeah.
That was the example that came to mind when I vocalized it. I was like, no, that was perfect. So it was a cool collaboration of coming up that yeah, he does know what you want. He knows what you need, but he still wants to talk to you. He still wants to have a relationship.
Yeah, I agree.
Pray. So what about praying for health or survival or miracles, or what do you think with that? Yeah.
I mean, I think we've all prayed for one of those.
Yeah.
Whether you get it or not, I think it's fully up to him, right? It's usually a yes, no, or wait.
Yeah.
Not right now.
Well, let's talk about Scott. I mean, we for the person that might have prayed for their family member to be cured, or to be saved from that accident or whatever, and it didn't happen. What do you say to them? What should their prayer look like? And then what do you say when it doesn't happen the way? Like maybe they're not as mature as us spiritually, so maybe they don't.
I think it's a matter of recognizing, right, what it was that was accomplished. And you said Scott, right?
Yeah.
You saw many people attended this funeral, right?
Yeah.
That's probably the largest funeral I've ever seen.
I know, and that it is, and it was incredible. And the people affected, and the people that our men's group tripled after that.
There's more people brought together, and I think that God does everything to bring him glory, right?
Yeah.
And that is so that we can see him more clearly a lot of times, right? And so that other people that have not seen him can see him.
Yeah.
And I think that is a perfect illustration of that, all those people that came together. And as you said, our men's group grown. And to think about all the people that were there, even, during the prayer time at the church, right? That Wendy had requested, right? Before he had passed, right? We had all met there. We were all praying.
That's
people
right.
had probably not even prayed in a while. I mean, I doubt that everyone in that room is praying daily, right?
Yeah.
So it brought a lot of people
together. Well, I mean, that's probably was the first step I took back towards prayer, because I wasn't able to come that day because my son had a soccer game. But I remember just going, I can't not be involved in that. I felt like for some reason that made a difference. And so I sat in my car and I actually said a prayer, and I'm like,
see, look at that.
I know, and I was like, oh wow, okay. So
look at that.
I know, it was pretty neat. I remember recognizing that at that time, going, yeah, I would have never done that without Scott. So
that's
it's gonna be pretty cool. I hope that somebody said the other day, I don't know what it was, that when we get to heaven, God's gonna show you, hey, this is who you were meant to be, who you could have been, and this is how close you got, and compared it, and that you could see like your growth and the things that you did and the effect it had on people and that whole thing. I mean, it was just a different way of looking at life and what we can see back. Because I think a lot of people have questions about what are we going to remember in heaven, and what's it going to be like, and how are we going to know that, was it really worth it? Because you can ask Scott's children, and they're going, I don't care if they're praying, I want my dad back. Like, forget all them people that brought together. I mean, hopefully as they mature, and hopefully as we all, I guess, have better understanding down the road.
One of the pastors I follow online, Josh Howerton, describes the two seats that we kind of, when we pass away and we go to heaven, they're judgment seats, right? And we all go before to be judged, right? The first one that you come to, right, it is basically them asking the question, do you want to be judged by what you've done in your life? Right. And it is literally a record of every little moment in your life. Right. I'm sure that wall is endless, but that is everything you've done, good and bad, everything in between. Right. Every thought you've had, probably everything. Right. And that's one thing you can be judged on, or you want to be judged based off what Jesus did for us. Right.
Let's see.
Right.
Yeah.
And then so
that line should move pretty quick.
Hopefully, right? Hopefully.
Some arrogant person's going to be like, I appreciate you, Jesus, but let's look back. And then they're going to be like, oh, wait.
So then after that judgment seat, once we get to the next, right, the other one it's basically based off of how good your life's going to be in heaven, right? And it is looking back at what you did do, what positive effects you did have in this world on the people that are here, right? What did you do to serve God?
Yeah.
And that is, he describes it as from that point, that's going to basically be how well you enjoy heaven,
Yeah.
right? And then what heaven looks like for you. I thought it was a very good description, because it then, we're not saved by any means by works, right? And what we do, it's based off what Jesus has done.
What if it's how well we cook? Maybe heaven needs some good cooks. I'm trying to put a word in for you.
Right.
I mean, are we going to eat in heaven? I hope so.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
I'm not hoping we just float around and lolly.
There'd be lots of stuff.
I want food.
I mean, I mean, what is it? The
Maybe you're never full. You could just eat and eat. So
maybe you don't have to worry about being full or not full.
You don't have to gain. You're not going to gain weight, but you just get to eat all the time. That's heaven.
Pretty amazing, right?
It's going to be pretty good heaven. Boy, wow, that's exciting. Never talked about that. All right, so then how do we, I'm going to tie this all into one, not just with different religions, but let's talk about whether it's morality, sexuality, other religions, Buddhism, Muslim, all these other things. Where's the line? And I wore this shirt on purpose, so I'm going to tell you what I think, part of what I think, but I'm also trying to learn I just heard a preacher talk about who's going to heaven, and there's only one way but by me, and Jesus said, but I see a lot online where people want to just spout out that, just say it. I guess the way we're treating people is what I don't like. And does it make me unchristian to love? And this sounds like a ridiculous question, but if we measure love by our behavior and not just our words, does it make me unchristian to love gay people and to love Muslims and the Buddhists and embrace them and even go to a Muslim church if I want to, versus the judgment and knowing that what the Bible says and what we believe? So I'm believing that the only way through heaven is through Jesus.
Correct.
And I know that there are a lot of people that want to believe, well, I hate the sin, but they're really hating on the sinner because they're sinning. And I think I've kind of bumbled my question up. Is I'm trying to express that it's okay to, maybe it's not, maybe you believe differently, to love, truly embrace these people and have sympathy for these different religions and these people and embrace them without.
We are called to love everyone.
Everyone.
Equally.
Even Chef Boyardee.
Absolutely.
All right.
Right. We are called to love everyone regardless, right? And God loves everyone as well. Does he love what people have done and what they do? No, absolutely not. Right. Does he love someone like, Charles Manson? Right. At one point, he loves him. Right. But does he approve of what he's done? Absolutely not. Right. No. Absolutely not. And there's a part where he's obviously turned away and is definitely rooted in the devil, right? Versus in Christ.
Yeah.
So
what does love require of us then when we talk about, and we're not talking about how you treat, because most of us don't even know that person next to us is Muslim. But what does love require of us when the Bible's talking about, well, that person's sinning, not going to heaven, but yet you got to love everybody? So what's the difference? What does love require of us when it comes to people we don't agree with?
Yeah. So that's something my wife and I actually talked about just the other day. And love looks like, someone is a Jesus follower if all they want to do is talk about Jesus. That's what love looks like. Right? And if you're talking about Jesus and what he's done, what he's come here to do, what he did do, what he's still doing in us, right? And you're spreading that word constantly, as you talk about it, it's going to continue to pull you further and further away from sin, because you're going to also want to walk the way Jesus did, right?
Right.
And that is what love looks like, right? Because if we're talking about Jesus and we're telling, others all those good things, right, that he taught us, right, gifts to the poor, right, then we're probably going to naturally do those things and demonstrate it. This is how Jesus lived, right? And that's what he's also called us to do, right, is to live like him, right? We'll pick up our cross, follow him every day. And it's sometimes difficult, right, because there are those people that are not followers, that are doing bad things, that treat other people poorly, including us, right? that talk down to others, that try to hurt other people. There's a lot of evil in the world, obviously.
Yeah. And it's not even just evil. It's just, I mean, obviously that's correct, but I think the larger masses of people are just the people that confuse, or they want to believe that because I hate the sin, oh, I love you as a person as long as you're way over there, but I don't want to be around you. I don't want to talk to you. I don't want to see you. You're wrong. I love you, but stay over there. Like that's what bothers me about Christianity.
Sure.
Is no, I don't want you over there. I want you over here. I want to love you no matter what. Your sin is not my problem.
Yeah.
Your sin is, you deal with that with God.
I'll say this then. I have a close friend. I had a close friend. How about that? And he was a friend of mine and my wife's for 14 years. All right. Maybe a little more actually. But he had an issue with alcoholism. He was going through some mental health issues, right? He's tried to commit suicide several times. All right. I witnessed that as well. Tried to actually help get him to come to during one of those times. But at one point, he decided to walk away from our relationship, and we had to part ways with him. It was unsafe. It was unhealthy. It had become unhealthy for us, right? Because it was a mental strain, an emotional strain, and it was just very, very hard to walk through that with him, And it got to the point where it was becoming unsafe.
Right.
And I have children, right? I have young children that I also have to watch over and take care of and protect. And he had made the decision to kind of go the way he did, and we had to part ways. Do I still pray for him? Absolutely.
Yeah.
Do I still love him? Absolutely.
Yeah. But so that's a little bit different than what I'm referring to, because I'm sure.
Well, this is what I'll say then.
Okay.
If you're picking and choosing, right, are you not in the category that you had said? If you're picking and choosing, because it's not different.
Picking and choosing what?
There's all the different situations and scenarios in the world that you can name. All right. People like, for instance, right now in Iran, right? We're bombing people that have killed what? I think the estimate was 30,000 people, right? Recently, right? They murdered their own people.
Okay.
Right. Because those people were seeking freedom.
Right.
Right. And we're now blowing them up. Right. At least our U.S. military is. Right. So do we still love them?
And this is my
They're from afar.
No, I know. And this is where I guess, we all talk about hypocrisy and all those things. And I'm like, even in your situation with your friend, I understand you have to protect your mental health as well. And if someone is doing something that's detrimental to themselves or it's affecting you, of course you have to distance yourself and you don't want them doing that. And I guess that's not necessarily what I meant.
I think you're talking more or less.
I'm talking about more of us just believing that I'm right, you're wrong, you stay over there. I'm talking about people that are around us.
Sure.
I'm trying to, and I know I'm a hypocrite. I know I speak because so many times I think this, but I'm trying to bring everything into local. Like I think my neighborhood, how do I fix my neighbor? How do I fix my community? I can't control the rest of the world.
Sure.
I need to work on just my little area.
I think it's one of those things that, yes, I think we're all naturally a little hypocritical to some degree, at least some point in our lives, right? We're all critical of people, right? Yeah. A lot of times we're critical of ourselves, we're critical of others a lot of times. I think that it is one of those things that, again, it has to be a constant surrender every day, right? And again, if you are truly following and loving Jesus, right, you're going to lay that down every day.
Yeah.
I think it's been great for myself working in the hospitality industry, actually, to tie it all back to the restaurant as well.
Yeah.
Because it is hospitable, right? It is hospitality. It is taking care of everyone that walks in the door.
Would you serve anyone different in your restaurant?
Correct.
Based on their religious beliefs, who they were dating, etc. That's a great example.
Right.
To me, that's humanity. That's how we should serve everyone.
I've also worked with all those different types of people. I've worked with people from Venezuela, from Mexico, from all over, from Korea, right? I've worked with all kinds of different people. Right?
What about Puerto Rico? They don't speak English.
Puerto Rico,
and that's a different country.
I've worked with those people. I worked for Muslim, right? I worked for a Jewish person. I've worked with a French Canadian guy,
oh my God.
All kind of people, right? and
French
everyone
Canadians.
is different.
What are French Canadians like? I don't even know a French Canadian.
Like French
Are they like
people.
arrogant but yet a cool Canadian? Because Canadians are cool, but the French are like, it's a combination.
It was a mix on what kind of day he was having, I think.
So he's Canadian one day, he's French the next. That's what makes him French Canadian. Okay. Sorry if you're French Canadian out there. Most of the time when we discriminate, it's because we don't know anyone
Yeah.
like that. I spoke to that as somebody else was talking about Muslims, and when it was 2020, it was like, they need to be out here. Everyone Muslim needs to get out of this country. I was like, do you know one single Muslim? And they were like, no. I was like, go find one then. Because I have a really good friend that's Muslim, Indian, Muslim, and he literally texted me. He was like, I was like, hey, like, you good? Because I know they're hating on, I guess it wasn't then. When was that? Because that didn't have anything to do with Muslim. Whatever that scenario was, he was like, David, what would you do if they riled me up and they gathered me because of my religion? Would you stand up for me? I was like, nah, bro.
Well, that's funny that you mentioned that. Because
just kidding, I would. Ali, I would.
Friends of ours, they're married. The wife is Muslim and the husband's Christian, right? And he is from Nigeria. She's Egyptian. His parents are actually missionaries in Nigeria. And in Nigeria, right, the Muslims were killing Christians, right? There was a big...
Is that the recent thing we just talked about?
Yeah, that was fairly recent, yeah. That was the past few years. But yeah, big deal, right? Huge. They're married, right? Her mom is Muslim, and she's practicing, right? And there was a big difficulty for her mom to recognize she had married a Christian. It was very difficult for her.
Yeah.
There's a lot of anger and aggression and frustrations towards her daughter and towards him.
So her parents were equally or maybe more upset that she married a Christian than...
Yes. And whenever they had their first child, her mom kind of came around a little bit, but she's still, I'll say she's pretty much bipolar with it, right? Goes back and forth, but...
She must be French Canadian.
Right, you never know. But it's a tough thing. I think it's just difficult. It's very interesting to see that dynamic, though. And the thing my wife and I were talking about the other day, she was saying that the wife wants her husband to, become Muslim, and the husband wants his wife to become Christian, right? And they're both vying for one another, right?
That's tough.
And that is tough, right? But they're married with kids.
And what do you raise the kids? I say hopefully.
I say let them choose, right?
That's you got to educate them on both. And it's kind of I say that because the indoctrination is the one thing that's always in the back of my head, and I want to expose my son and let him know, hey, this is a choice. I know we go to church here in Peachtree City and it's Christian and all that, but I want you to know. I don't want you to believe it because they told you that. I want you to believe it because you understand it, and that you choose it.
Yeah.
And that's hard because I probably haven't given him a whole lot of options other than he knows, we have friends that are Jewish and we hang up Jewish things for Christmas. Ain't nobody Jewish in my family, but I want him to understand that religion and the very basics of Islam.
Think that, absolutely, we all have that choice, right, to make. We'll all be faced with that decision, right, to follow Jesus or not, or to go a different direction, whether it be Muslim, whether it be Buddhist, whatever, right? And ultimately, that's why he's given us free will, is to choose him or not.
Yeah.
And I think ultimately he wants us to relinquish our free will back to him, choose him, because he knows best.
Wow.
Yeah, he knows best.
That's the ultimate submission and Christian. Right? Yes.
He's our Father, right? He knows
I'm
best.
Giving you free will, but I'm asking you to give it back.
That's right.
Wow.
That's right.
It's like if somebody gave me cake.
Yeah.
He's like, here's cake, David. You know it's not good for you, though. I want you to give it back, but I'm giving you the choice. Wow, that's
You're not giving that back.
I'm not. I would if the cake was Jesus. Hopefully it's not, because you promised cake in heaven. Are you a baker? Do you make any baked goods?
Yeah, absolutely. I do a little bit of everything.
Is any at the restaurant, or you just do it at home? Like,
why, you getting hungry?
I'm not Catholic. I don't know if Christians can do Lent, but I'm doing Lent.
Oh, okay.
I'm not doing no sugar. I'm doing no desserts, treats, or candies. So just because I've had a horrible habit of eating between meals was always something sugary. Now, I still put sugary creamer in my coffee. If I need a Coke at 6 o'clock, so don't come at me when you see me. I'm not trying to do that. I'm trying to teach my body that I have the discipline to not eat a piece of cheesecake or a chocolate chip cookie or a candy bar after every single meal of the day. I'm talking about after dessert, and that's been my thing. So I don't remember how I brought that up or why.
Yeah,
but,
no, I don't necessarily. We don't do a whole lot. We don't keep desserts on hand. We try to support the ice cream shop beside us.
That's true. That place is good.
Yeah, it's all right.
Yeah, it's ice cream.
Yeah.
$20 ice cream.
That's what it is.
But now I guess with most restaurants, you've got to create an experience because you're buying the experience. Like I think about TCBY, it just drives me nuts when I go up there and we weigh it and then it's $7. I'm like, Kroger is right there, Max. We can get 2 gallons of ice cream. But picking the ice cream and laughing and trying it and sampling it, that is the experience that makes me pay it.
Yeah.
And the bright colored spoons, oddly.
Yeah.
I go there because I love that spoon. I always take an extra one home and I wash it in the dishwasher and keep it for a couple of weeks.
There you go.
So the experience is what it is. All right, I'm sure we are way over time, and I did not prepare some Bible trivia questions, but the thought propped in my head, so I'm going to pause this, and I'm going to pick up some questions. We're going to pick this back up, and we're going to ask this man some trivia questions on the Bible. So,
Are you having a David day?